Hey, it's Steve. Real quick before we begin, the single biggest thing I've learned about succeeding as an ADHD entrepreneur is that everything boils down to mastering your weeks. So if ADHD is making business harder than it needs to be, I've got something that can help. Grab my free weekly ADHD dashboard. It's a free, simple, but powerful tool to help you stay focused, organized, in control of your week. The link is in the description below. Hey, Steve August, back with another episode of ADHD Entrepreneur Accelerator. And today's topic I want to talk about is the idea of ADHD gold plating. And what do I mean by ADHD gold plating? It's a way of an ADHD brain moving the goalposts. So let's say we have something that a project or we start to do it. And then as we do it, we learn more and more about how to do it better. Right? Because that's what happens whenever we get into action and we do stuff, we start to learn how to do it better. And so we start getting ideas. Our ADHD brain is like, hey, I understand that. I get that. There's more we could do there. And so what happens is what's gold plating. Now, gold plating is a term I first learned about when I was running my first startup. I was learning about software development called extreme programming. And one of the concepts they talked about, I don't know if this is unique to extreme programming or all programming, is this idea of gold plating. Is what would happen is an engineer, software developer may be working on a feature. And as they work on the feature, they keep thinking of ways to make it better and better and better. Now, on one level, that's great. Like we want things to be as good as they can be. But on another level, it's a bit of a trap because then the feature never gets done. And also the feature never gets into the hands of a user who can actually decide if that extra feature or the extra thing, functionality, actually makes a difference, right? And so what would happen in software development is there'd be a lot of time and effort spent on things that were ostensibly, making it better, but they weren't important to the user. And so this idea of gold plating, when you think about it with an ADHD brain, it's like we find ways to keep making things better and better. And in doing that, something that seems like it's a positive is like we keep pushing out the time when we're actually going to give it to somebody, or we're going to put it out to the public, or we're going to do those things that actually give us the feedback from the market that we need, or the feedback from whoever we need it from. And so it keeps delaying the actual, like we do the doing, but we don't get the reward for actually releasing, for actually putting it out there, and we don't get the feedback. And now there's a few other things baked into that when it comes to an ADHD brain. So ADHD brains definitely encounter this phenomenon of rejection sensitivity dysphoria, higher sense of rejection. So when we're going to put something out there, we may try to mitigate that risk or delay that risk by trying to make it better and better and better. But there's only so long you can go before it's without actually giving the other people the opportunity to experience it that you can do. Otherwise, it just never comes out or you never get the thing done. And it holds us back in some ways, this gold plating. It's a way of moving the goalposts on ourselves. And it's really interesting to see that at work once you know the game your brain is playing, right? Because a kind of perfectionism that gets in the way of actually making progress. And there's no better way to make progress than to put things out there and see what people think, right? As an entrepreneur, you have to put out offers, you have to create your products, invite people to use them. You have to do that or else you never meet the market and you can never get the feedback and you can never get a yes or a no. And as I like to say, we always want a quick yes or a quick no, because a longer process of like a long drawn out maybe is not going to give us the information we need. Even a quick no is better than a long maybe. And the more we do that, the faster we learn, the faster we make progress. So how do we kind of get out of this loop, right? Of like, hey, I think I could keep making it better and better and better. So this is something that is a concept that I learned from one of my coaches, Paula Engelbretson, who uses the good, better, best kind of mentality. And the way I like to frame it is good is done enough to put it out there, right? And it's usually, it doesn't matter what it is. If it's put out there and released, that is really good, right? And then better, we can come back and make it better and improve on it the second go around. And then the best is when we get it to the place that we always dreamed it could be. Now, the thing that is the trap there, right, is the ADHD brains, we can almost picture what better or best is, right? We have this dream in our mind and we think we can go right from, no idea or nothing to best. But if you think about everything in life, it pretty much goes through a cycle. You do good, which is like you release, you get it out there. It's not going to feel perfect, but you get it out there and you get people to use it. And sometimes we're really surprised because people, are good, can be really amazing. And then once we get that feedback, we do a better version and iterate on it. And then once we've done better, we can get it to best. But it's really almost impossible to do that 0 to best in our heads without getting feedback from the people that we want to serve. So what I would invite you to do is think about, a minimum viable product mentality, MVP. And that's really good when it gets into other people's hands. And then that's the ultimate arbiter. Does it get out? When we do that, we make progress. Things move forward because we get more information. And it's this loop, right? Because sometimes we have a clear picture of where we think we want to go, but as we get into doing it, it's like, oh, wow, this isn't so straightforward. And then some things aren't clear. And so we have to get clarity, and action usually delivers us clarity. So it's this loop, right? When we have clarity, we can focus. When we have focus, we can get into action. When we get into action, our reward is more clarity. And that is a virtuous loop. So don't let gold plating get in your way. And the way to step into that is just be an awareness of like, hey, am I adding more things? Did I move my target? Did I say, oh, let's do this much in sales? And then I got, really wrapped up in it. And now I want to do this much in sales. And I've already forgotten my original goal. It's really key to have that awareness with your ADHD brain and avoid the gold plating. Be aware of it. Good, better, best. And if you think about it that way, I think you'll get into action more and you'll be able to learn more, get the clarity, get more focus, and repeat that cycle until you go from good to better to best. And that's the thought for today on ADHD Entrepreneur Accelerator. If this was of value to you, I would so appreciate it if you were to give me a 5-star rating and review on your favorite podcast platform, or if you're on YouTube, a like and subscribe is always appreciated. My goal is to get this out to as many people as possible, and every interaction that happens helps that cause. And if you have a moment, tell somebody you know about this podcast, because we're always looking to help more ADHD entrepreneurs get out of overwhelm, find their focus, and create the business and life that they want. And that's why we're here. Anyway, that's it for this time. See you soon. I'll be back with more.